What if I told you that corn, beans, and squash hold the key to unlocking a pest-free, incredibly productive garden? This isn't just about planting 3 crops together, it's an ingenious, symbiotic strategy that outsmarts pests and creates a resilient, natural powerhouse. You're about to uncover how this ancient wisdom can revolutionize your modern garden and give you an unfair advantage over those pesky garden invaders. The Three Sisters method represents one of humanity's most brilliant agricultural innovations, developed by indigenous peoples across the Americas over thousands of years. When you plant corn, beans, and squash together, you're not just following tradition, you're implementing a sophisticated biological system that maximizes productivity while minimizing pest pressure through natural means. This isn't some romantic notion of the past, it's cutting-edge permaculture disguised as ancient wisdom. Modern research has validated what indigenous farmers knew intuitively. These 3 crops create a mutually beneficial relationship that enhances soil health, improves yields, and naturally deters pests without a single chemical spray. The beauty lies in how each plant fills a specific ecological niche while supporting the others, creating a miniature ecosystem that's far more resilient than any monocrop. What makes this particularly relevant for today's gardeners is how it addresses our modern challenges. Climate change, soil depletion, and increasing pest pressure demand solutions that work with nature rather than against it. The Three Sisters method offers exactly that, a time-tested approach that builds soil health while producing abundant harvests and keeping pests at bay. Understanding how each sister contributes to this garden symphony will transform how you think about plant relationships in your own space. Corn serves as the living architecture of the system, providing sturdy stalks that beans can climb without requiring separate support structures. But corn's role goes deeper than mere physical support. Its height creates beneficial microclimates and wind protection for the other crops. Beans are the unsung heroes of nitrogen fixation, literally pulling this essential nutrient from the air and converting it into a form that corn and squash can readily absorb. So here's the thing. This biological nitrogen factory means your Three Sisters plot becomes increasingly fertile over time. Unlike conventional plantings that tend to deplete the soil, this method enriches it. The beans also add structural stability to the corn. They create a mutually supportive framework that can withstand strong winds much better than either plant alone. It's quite fascinating how nature works together, isn't it? And finally, squash completes this triumvirate with its broad, sprawling leaves. These leaves create a living mulch across the soil surface. It's amazing how each plant plays its part in this natural symphony. This ground cover suppresses weeds, retains soil moisture, and creates a microhabitat that beneficial insects love while making life difficult for many common pests. The prickly squash leaves and stems also provide a physical deterrent against crawling pests trying to reach the corn and beans above. The real magic of the Three Sisters lies in how this polyculture confuses and deters garden pests through what scientists call associational resistance. When pests encounter this diverse plantscape, their normal host-finding mechanisms become scrambled. Corn borers struggle to locate corn when it's intermixed with beans and squash, while cucumber beetles find it harder to devastate squash when it's part of this complex system. This plant diversity creates a buffet for beneficial insects, establishing a natural pest control army right in your garden beds. Predatory beetles hide under squash leaves during the day and emerge at night to hunt aphids and other soft-bodied pests. Parasitic wasps find nectar sources in bean flowers while laying eggs in pest insects. Spiders build webs between corn stalks, catching flying pests before they can cause damage. The increased plant vigor that results from this symbiotic relationship creates another layer of pest resistance. Well-fed plants with balanced nutrition are naturally more resistant to pest damage and disease pressure. It's quite fascinating how nature works, isn't it? When your three sisters are thriving in their mutually beneficial arrangement, they can tolerate pest pressure that might devastate stressed monocultures. It's really amazing to see how resilient they can be together. Now, successfully establishing your three sisters begins with understanding that timing and spacing matter more than perfection. It's all about getting the timing right. Start by planting corn first when soil temperatures consistently reach 60 degrees Fahrenheit. This allows it to establish a 6-inch head start before adding beans. It's a simple step, but it makes all the difference. This ensures your living trellis is ready when beans need support. Wait another week or two before planting squash, giving both corn and beans time to establish without competition. Space considerations depend on your varieties, but a general rule involves planting corn in clusters of 4 to 6 plants spaced 12 inches apart, with bean seeds planted 6 inches from each corn stalk once corn reaches knee height. Squash goes around the perimeter of each corn cluster with plants spaced 3 to 4 feet apart to allow for their sprawling nature. Even small gardens can, accommodate modified Three Sisters plantings by using dwarf varieties or container systems. Variety selection really makes the difference between success and frustration. It's important to choose determinate corn varieties that won't grow too tall for your beans to reach the top, and select bush beans rather than pole varieties if you're working with shorter corn. For squash, you might want to consider space-saving varieties like delicata or acorn squash, rather than sprawling pumpkins, if space is limited. The key is matching plant vigor so no single sister overwhelms the others. Harvesting your three sisters requires patience and strategic thinking. Sweet corn reaches maturity first, typically 70 to 90 days after planting, and should be picked at peak ripeness for the best flavor. Beans can be harvested continuously throughout the growing season, with regular picking encouraging continued production. So, you'll want to leave some bean pods to mature fully for dry storage, since these will also contribute the maximum nitrogen fixation to benefit next season's soil. Squash harvesting, well, it varies dramatically by type. Summer squashes are picked young and tender, while winter varieties are left to cure on the vine until they're fully mature. The beauty of this system is really how it provides continuous harvest throughout the growing season, from those early beans all the way through to late-season winter squash storage. The soil health benefits of consistent Three Sisters plantings compound over time, creating an increasingly fertile and biologically active growing medium. The nitrogen fixation from beans, organic matter from plant residues, and diverse root systems all contribute to building soil structure and microbial communities. Many gardeners report that beds used for Three Sisters plantings become their most productive and pest-resistant areas within just a few seasons. Consider succession plantings every 2 to 3 weeks through early summer to extend your harvest window and, maintain continuous pest deterrent effects. As early plantings finish producing, their spent plants can be chopped and incorporated into the soil as organic matter for the next succession, creating a regenerative cycle that builds soil health while producing abundant food. The Three Sisters method represents more than just clever planting. It's really a philosophy of working with natural systems rather than against them. When you embrace this ancient wisdom in your modern garden, you're joining a tradition of sustainable agriculture that has fed communities for millennia while building rather than depleting the Earth's resources. Your Three Sisters garden becomes a teaching tool. demonstrating to neighbors and family members how biological diversity creates resilience and abundance. Share your experiences, failures, and successes with fellow gardeners, contributing to a growing community of people rediscovering the power of working with nature's inherent wisdom. Ready to transform your garden with the power of the Three Sisters? Subscribe to the Living Soil Lab for more time-tested techniques that create thriving, resilient gardens, and share this guide with fellow gardeners who are ready to embrace nature's most powerful pest deterrent strategy. Together, we're cultivating a more sustainable and abundant future, one garden at a time.